Hey everybody, today we're going to be reacting to how every cartel boss died. I thought this would be pretty interesting. Um, yeah, no way his name's El Mexicano. That feels a bit cliche. I'm going to pop these on. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's do it.
Tony Tormenta. Antonio Ezequiel Cardenas
Tony looks like a badass. I'm going to turn this down a bit.
Guillen, known as Tony Tormenta, had taken over leadership of the Gulf Cartel after his brother
Do
Ociel
you think he torments people? Please don't click off the video, please.
was arrested. But at the same time, Los Zetas, once the cartel's armed wing, had broken away and turned into its deadliest enemy. Tony commanded his own private army called Los Escorpiones, a squad made up of ex-police officers trained in heavy weapons and brutal tactics, so
It's crazy how like cartel leaders have such authority.
brutal that he caught the attention of the Mexican Marines. For months, they tracked him across Tamaulipas, nearly catching him several times, but each time he escaped, protected by convoys of gunmen and armored vehicles. By late 2010, however, the government made his capture a top priority, and Matamoros, his home city and stronghold, became
Like you're protecting a man that hard?
the main battlefield. On the morning of November 5th, 2010, more than 660 Marines, backed by helicopters and armored vehicles, surrounded downtown Matamoros.
Would you not just try and
Roadblocks went
flee?
up, cell service
I
was
feel like you
cut,
try and
and
flee.
power went out in parts of the city. For hours, residents hid in fear as gunmen fought openly in the streets. Gulf Cartel sicarios hijacked buses to block military convoys. Snipers fired from rooftops, and over 300 grenades exploded during the clashes. By the afternoon, the Marines had located Tony in a downtown building. Helicopters fired from above, and the military pushed through. As they got in, they eliminated Tony and several of his bodyguards. Across Tamaulipas and beyond, new roadblocks, grenade attacks, and shootouts erupted as news of his death spread. Los Zetas celebrated, hanging banners mocking the Gulf Cartel and inviting Tony's men to switch sides. El Mexicano. By 1980,
El Mexicano sounds like a badass. Hopefully some of these die cool.
Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, also known as El Mexicano, was one of the most feared leaders of the Medellin cartel. But by then, he had gone to war with almost everyone: the Colombian government, the DEA, the Cali cartel, FARC guerrillas, and even old
The fuck is a fart gorilla?
allies in the emerald trade. His
Oh, gorilla with like you.
empire was falling apart, and his enemies had started working together to bring him down. The final hunt began when a police informant, secretly working for the Cali cartel, revealed his location. The police traced him to Cartagena, but he slipped away by boat to Tolu with his son Freddy and several others. Unfortunately for him, one of them was the same informant still passing information to the authorities. On December 15th, 1989,
Cinema.
two military
Absolute
helicopters
cinema.
carrying elite police units launched the attack. And at first, Gacha and his men tried to hide by dressing as farm workers. But when helicopters circled overhead, they ran to a red truck and attempted to escape. A running gunfight followed across the countryside, until, near a group of trees, some of his bodyguards and his son Freddy exchanged fire with police and were killed. Gacha, with one bodyguard left, kept fleeing in the truck until they abandoned it and tried to escape on foot through a banana plantation. Cornered and wounded, Gacha fired at a helicopter with a German submachine gun. His shots gave away his position, and the police answered with bursts of machine gun fire from
Oh my
above.
God.
A bullet struck him in the leg, bringing him down, and moments later another hit him in the face, killing him. 2 days later, on December 17th, thousands of people gathered in his hometown of Pacho for his funeral. Estimates put the crowd as high as 15,000.
Why, just
Herrera.
respect?
In 1996, Helmer Herrera, one of the four leaders of the Cali cartel known as Pacho, surrendered to Colombian authorities after the other Cali bosses had been arrested. Unlike the Rodriguez Orejuela brothers, he operated more in the shadows, rarely appearing in public, and almost never being mentioned by name. But this didn't prevent him from having enemies, even while in prison. Herrera and the whole Cali
Oh, is this gonna be brutal?
cartel had long been in conflict with the Norte del Valle cartel, a powerful offshoot of Cali, and rumors spread that Herrera had betrayed their leader, Orlando Henao, by giving information to the DEA. On November 6, 1998, during a football match inside the prison, Rafael Angel Uribe Serna entered the field. Uribe was not a stranger. He had been close to Herrera for years and even worked as an advisor. Herrera reportedly stopped the game and went to greet him. They hugged, and at that moment, Uribe suddenly pulled out a gun and shot Herrera 7 times in the head.
Jesus Christ, isn't he in the prison? Where did he get a gun first of all, and 7
Guards
shots?
took him away, but Herrera died soon after in the hospital.
How did he
Uribe
not
later
die from
claimed
the
Herrera
7
had
shots?
threatened his family after he failed to kill an emerald tycoon on Herrera's orders, but investigators doubted this. Many believed Uribe was acting under orders from the Norte del Valle cartel themselves. Arturo Beltran Leyva. Marcos Arturo Beltran Leyva.
He looks a bit like What's his name? The guy from Dexter. Shit. Oh my god, I'm completely blanking. Le Pachon. What's his name? No, he does. But
Once
what?
called El Jefe de Jefes, or the Boss of Bosses, by his gunmen, had risen
Oh my
inside
god,
the
I can't
Sinaloa
remember.
cartel with his brothers by running security and drug routes for El Chapo. But after his brother Alfredo was arrested in 2008, the Beltran Leyva clan blamed El Chapo for betraying them. They broke away, formed their own cartel, and allied with Los Zetas, which were enemies of El Chapo, turning Mexico into a battlefield between former partners. Arturo led with brutality, filling the country with assassins, bribing officials, and spreading terror. So by late 2009, the Mexican government had made him one of its top targets. On
You must feel absolutely untouchable if you have that much power.
December 11th, Arturo threw a lavish Christmas party at a mansion in Cuernavaca, but Mexican Navy Special Forces raided the house, sparking a firefight that killed 3 of his men and a neighbor. Arturo escaped.
What did the neighbor do? That's not fair.
But 5
Imagine just waking up your morning coffee and they're like, oh, the neighbor's having a Christmas party. Just absolute gunfire. Just get shot through your kitchen window. It's crazy.
days later, intelligence led the Navy to another luxury apartment where Arturo was hiding.
Do you ever
This
get-
time, they came with a
Sorry, weird rant. Do you ever get your eye feel like it needs to blink? Oh, it's
crazy
horrible.
amount of force. Around 200 Marines, backed by tanks and helicopters, surrounded the building. A 90-minute gun battle followed. Arturo's men hurled grenades to hold them off, but Marines repelled from helicopters and stormed the building. When it was over, Arturo and 3 of his men were dead. The aftermath was bloody. Days later, gunmen assassinated family members of Melchizedek Angulo Cordova, the Marine killed in the raid, murdering his mother and relatives
Oh my
after his
God.
funeral. Then, a banner left at a kindergarten warned of more reprisals. El Señor
Leaving that at a kindergarten. What?
de los Cielos. On July 4th, 1997, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, known as El Señor de los Cielos, or Lord of the Skies, for the huge fleet of jets he used to move cocaine, entered a private hospital in Mexico City to change his face, and you'll soon understand why. By then, he was the most powerful drug lord in Mexico, head of the Juarez cartel, and worth an estimated $25 billion.
25 billion? Jesus. What?
But pressure against him was growing. Both U.S. and Mexican authorities were closing in, and ordinary Mexicans had started protesting the politicians that allowed traffickers like him to operate. Carrillo, while on the run, believed surgery could buy him time. At Santa Monica Hospital, he underwent major plastic surgery on his face, along with liposuction to change his appearance, but the operation didn't go as expected. Whether from a
Oh my god, did he die?
bad reaction to medication or a broken respirator, complications set in, and in the early hours of
No
July
way.
5th, Amado Carrillo Fuentes was dead. The most powerful drug trafficker in Mexico had not died in a gun battle or an ambush, but on an operating table. Rumors spread quickly, with many insisting Carrillo had faked his death to escape justice. The government was forced to publicly display his body to silence the speculation. Months later, the 2 surgeons who had performed the operation were found murdered. The Juarez cartel fell into chaos almost immediately, and a bloody fight for control of what Carrillo had left behind started. Ramon Arellano Felix.
Why do they all look extremely similar? It's interesting.
Being one of the leaders of the Tijuana cartel and being known as the cartel's enforcer, Ramon had built a reputation as one of the most ruthless traffickers in Mexico. He personally ordered massacres, including the 1998 slaughter of 19 members of the Castro Ramirez family. Brutal acts like this made him stand out, which is why by the late 1990s, Ramon was high on Mexico's most wanted lists. In 1997, he was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives, charged with importing cocaine and marijuana into the United States. Later, under the Kingpin Act, his U.S. assets were frozen, and American citizens were banned from doing business with him. Still, Ramon continued to operate in Mexico, but on February 10, 2002, while he was driving in Mazatlan, a Mexican police officer, Angel Antonio Arias Torres, pulled him over for a traffic violation. What seemed like a routine stop exploded into violence. Ramon pulled a gun and shot the officer twice in the chest, mortally wounding him.
Why?
Even as he collapsed, Arias Torres managed to fire back, hitting Ramon in the
You're such an idiot.
head and killing him instantly. Both men died in the exchange. Some accounts, however, say that the stop was not an accident. According to these stories, Joaquin Guzman, known as El Chapo, set up the ambush to remove one of his most dangerous rivals. If that's true, he succeeded, since Ramon's death marked the beginning of the end for the Tijuana cartel. Just weeks later, his brother Benjamin was arrested, and within a few years, most of the Arellano Felix brothers were either captured or dead. Francisco Rafael Arellano Felix. On October 18, 2013,
These all have similar
Francisco
names.
Rafael, the
I guess
oldest
they're
of the
all part of the
brothers who
same
once
cartel.
controlled the Tijuana cartel,
Oh,
was
it is his
celebrating
brother.
his 64th birthday in Los Cabos, and around 80 to 100 guests, including politicians, businessmen, athletes, and other VIPs, went to the party. By then, he had been out of cartel leadership for years, after getting arrested in 1993 and released in 2008. Just after 8 p.m., a
So is
man
it just
dressed as a
vibing?
clown walked in, and he blended in long enough
Oh,
to get
no
close.
way.
When he was only 3 feet away, he pulled out a pistol and shot Francisco Rafael in the head and chest. As he
As a clown?
fell to the floor, the gunman fired more shots before escaping through a back door to a black SUV waiting outside. Guests panicked, running for cover under tables or fleeing into the night. The motive was never fully clear. Authorities suggested it may have been revenge over old debts or rivalries, possibly tied to the Sinaloa cartel or the Beltran Leyva cartel. Some believed he had angered El Chapo by tipping off authorities about his presence in Los Cabos the year before. What made the case even more mysterious was that
Honestly, like, why would you be in a cartel in Mexico and then stay in Mexico afterwards? Maybe you can't leave, but damn, dude, just get out of there.
security at the party was unusually low, and many guests left before police could question them, leaving little evidence. El Lazca. Heriberto Lascano was a former soldier who defected from the Mexican army and helped create
God, he's mugging me, chat.
Los Zetas, the
Dude's got a killer mugshot.
armed wing of the Gulf Cartel that later broke away and became one of the most violent criminal groups in the country, as we mentioned in Tony Tormenta's section. By the late 2000s, he was one of Mexico's most wanted men, so much so that the US government offered a $5 million reward for him, while Mexico added another $2 million. His end came on October 7, 2012, when, acting on a civilian tip about armed men at a baseball game, Mexican Marines moved in. Lazcano and a bodyguard opened fire from a white van, starting a shootout that killed both of them and one Marine. Fingerprint tests confirmed the dead man was Lazcano, making him the most powerful cartel boss killed since Mexico's drug war began in 2006. But the story didn't end there. His body was taken to a funeral home in Sabinas, Coahuila, and before officials could make the news public, a convoy of masked gunmen stormed the building, overpowered staff, and stole Lazcano's corpse. That's because in the Zetas'
Why?
paramilitary culture, no man was to be left behind. His body has never been recovered.
It's weirdly
Lazcano's
honorable.
death cleared the way for Miguel Trevino to become the uncontested leader of Los Zetas, though he was captured less than a year later in 2013. This created an opening for rivals like El Chapo and the Sinaloa cartel, who could now more easily expand into Zetas territory. Griselda Blanco Restrepo,
Wow.
known as the godmother of cocaine, was one of
What a nickname. Wow. Why don't we learn more of this in like history and stuff? This is
the
cool.
most central figures in the violent Miami drug wars of the 19th
We don't ever I don't get why we don't do like cartel stuff. Maybe they do in some schools, but it's definitely not part of the curriculum in the UK. This would be so fun to learn about.
70s and 1980s. From an early age, she was involved in crime. Stories claim that as a child, she kidnapped and even killed, and by her teenage years, she was already committing theft and fraud before moving into drug trafficking. At its peak,
God, she's a real seasoned criminal there. She's covered all the bases.
her empire was said to bring in $80 million a month, but
Oh my, what?
Blanco was remembered more for her violence. She ordered hundreds of killings, including public massacres, and she was credited with popularizing motorcycle drive-by shootings that became a cartel trademark. Not even her family was safe, as she allegedly ordered the murder of her first husband, personally shot her second husband Alberto Bravo during an argument, and had her third husband killed after a custody dispute.
Listen, if you're the third husband, what are we doing marrying this woman? Unless you're scared, like what? How has she found 3 men?
Over their son, Michael Corleone Blanco, whom she had named after the character from The Godfather. In 1985, she was arrested in California by the DEA and released early in 2004 for health reasons and deported back to Colombia. In her later years, she was said to have turned to religion and lived as a born-again Christian. But on September 3, 2012, at the age of 69, while she was leaving a butcher shop in Medellin, a man on a motorcycle shot her twice in the head. She was basically killed in the same style of assassination she had once popularized in
That's the most crazy karma I think I've ever heard. Wow. Wow.
Miami. El Chepe. On January 11, 1996, El Chepe, whose real name was Jose Santa Cruz Londoño, had escaped from the La Picota prison in Bogota. He was one of the founding leaders of the Cali Cartel, and unlike the Medellin Cartel under Pablo Escobar, which fought openly with bombings and assassinations, Cali used a quieter approach with corruption and bribery. This seemed to work, since at its peak, the cartel supplied up to 80% of the cocaine in the world.
Jesus.
But after Escobar's death in 1993, all eyes turned to Cali. This was made worse by the bloody war with the Norte del Valle cartel that we previously mentioned. Its leaders, together with paramilitary commander Carlos Castaño and corrupt police colonel Danilo Gonzalez, agreed that Chepe had to die. They arranged an ambush disguised as a police checkpoint, and El Chepe was shot dead on the spot. Nacho. Ignacio Coronel Villarreal, also known as Nacho Coronel, or the King of Crystal, for his
Dude, they've got such fucking cool names. Can we just get like a Netflix anthology of all of these cartel leaders, like Narcos, please? I'd watch the shit out of that. That sounds so good.
combination of methamphetamine production and trafficking, was one of the most wanted men by the US and Mexican government by the early 2000s. He rose to power in the 1980s with the Juarez cartel under Amado Carrillo Fuentes, but after his death, he helped strengthen the Sinaloa cartel alongside El Chapo. His niece, Emma Coronel
Hello there. Okay, sorry.
Arturo later became widely known as the wife of El Chapo, but he's mostly known for his 2010 retaliation, when, after his young son Alejandro was kidnapped and murdered by gunmen linked to Los Zetas, he sent more than 100 men to kill 14 people only days later. On July 29, 2010, Mexican soldiers tracked him to a luxury home in Zapopan. When troops stormed the property, he resisted. In the firefight, he killed one soldier and wounded another before being fatally shot in the head. Inside the house, soldiers seized jewelry, luxury watches, rifles, grenades, 3 vehicles, and about $7 million in cash. Pablo Escobar.
Oh, the man, the myth, the
It
legend.
was the afternoon of December 2nd, 1993, and Pablo Escobar was hiding.
Did you ever see the thing about his brother? His brother got out of prison, tried to sell like fake iPhones, and a bunch of people fell for it. And it was like he'd get like what are they, like Samsung Galaxy Folds, and say they were gonna be like £500. They're wrapped in solid gold, and it was just absolute fakeness. I think they got like 3,000 orders or some shit. Like, what the fuck? That guy must have made bank, man.
In a modest house in a Medellin neighborhood. For more than a year, he had been on the run after
Honestly, it's like natural selection. Like, if you're that stupid, maybe you deserve to be scammed.
escaping from his private prison, La Catedral, where he had lived in comfort and continued his criminal operations even while locked up. The Colombian government, with support from the United States, had been hunting him non-stop, and his rivals in the Cali cartel also wanted him dead. His actions brought even more attention towards him, like when he bombed Avianca Flight 203 in an attempt to kill a presidential candidate, Cesar Gaviria, but instead killed more than 100 innocent people. Colombian Special Forces,
man.
using US technology that tracked a phone call he made to his family, found him in Medellin. As police closed in, Escobar tried to escape across the rooftops with his bodyguard, but a gunfight broke out. Bullets hit him in the torso and legs, but the shot that finished it struck his head. Some believe the police fired it, while others think Escobar shot himself. His death marked the fall of the Medellin cartel, and more than 25,000 people attended his funeral. If you liked this video...
What a video, man. Oh my goodness, that was so interesting. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you make it to the end of the video, comment Earl Grey tea. Earl Grey tea. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Sorry about yesterday. I completely ran out of time to film a video, but I'm going to basically stack a bunch so that I'm never behind ever again. Anyway, see you tomorrow.